want to welcome back to this day from NVISION Eye Centers, Dr. Duna Rauf. Thank you for joining us again.
Thanks for having me.
So we're going to talk about something cutting edge today.
Yeah.
And not in terms of cutting into your eyeball, but a lens that is adjustable lens technology. What is that exactly?
This is an incredibly cool technology that I'm so excited about, and it's relatively recent in the United States. It's been around here for more than a couple of years.
Okay.
It's been available outside the US for a while, more than 12 years, so we have a lot of long-term data on it.
Okay, I was going to say.
Yes, but it's new to us, so that's
Okay.
why it's so exciting. And I feel that this lens has really revolutionized how we do cataract surgery for a certain population of patients. So when we put a lens inside a patient's eye, that lens has a power. The power of that lens is kind of like a contact lens power or a glasses power. Mm-hmm. It's customized for your own eye.
But it's fixed.
It's fixed.
That's what's going to be.
You put the lens in and it is what it is. You cannot change it after it's been implanted. But there are some patients that have unusual eye anatomy, or they have certain conditions in the eye that make calculating the power of the lens implant a lot more challenging for us. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot less predictable. So when we put a lens implant in these patients, we don't really know if the power is going to be just right. Mm-hmm. Before we had the adjustable lens, if we put this lens in the patient's eye, we were stuck. There's nothing that you can do about it afterwards. Right. But somebody very smart invented an adjustable lens. So it's made out of a unique material where you can change the power of the lens implant after it's been implanted in the eye with a series of UV light treatments. So how is this done?
Wow.
The surgery is done just like a regular cataract surgery. You put the lens implant in, you still try to figure out what is the best power of the lens, and you put it in the eye, and then you allow the eye some time to heal, which is usually about 3 weeks.
Okay.
You just wait for any swelling or inflammation to resolve, and you allow the lens implant to settle in the eye. After that, we start doing a series of UV light treatments to the eye where we shine a UV light at the lens for about 90 seconds, and it changes the power of the lens implant to perfect it. So it really brings the predictability level from a low, unpredictable level all the way to exactly where we want it to be.
Okay, so how are you doing that in terms of, are you bringing the patient in after the 3 weeks and they're doing a kind of a regular eye exam, better, worse kind of thing?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So we do a refraction, which is 1 or 2, which one is better. Mm-hmm. We figure out what is the prescription of the eyeball, and then we dilate the eye so that we have a full view of the lens implant. And then they sit on a chair just like they're getting an eye exam. The UV light is attached to a machine that has a very complex computer software, but it looks just like the eye exam machine. Okay. They put their chin on the chin rest, we shine a bright light at the lens, and anywhere from 60 to 120 seconds, it changes the power of the lens implant. And then they come back the next week, and if they're happy with where the prescription is, and if I'm happy with it, we go ahead and lock it in. So most patients require 3 visits of the UV light treatments, and at the final visit, it is locked in, and they're good to go.
Now, how do you know the exact moment that it's locked in? Is there a way to say, okay, the lens is perfect now when we stop the light, or is it just fine adjustments?
So it's by measuring the patient's vision, and by measuring the prescription. So we have machines that measure if there is a prescription or astigmatism, nearsightedness, farsightedness, and those allow us to know whether we need to do more adjustments or not. And it's also very customizable. So for example, if we are doing monovision, meaning one eye far, one eye close up for a patient, which is something that we do often with cataract surgery. If the patient wants near vision at a certain distance, then I will put a lens implant in targeting that distance. But then when they come in for their UV light treatment and they're like, you know what, I actually want it to be a little bit closer, I can do that.
Oh, wow.
We can adjust it with the UV light treatment, and then typically they come in the next week for the next UV light treatment. They're like, yep, this is exactly where I wanted it to be. So we lock in the lens implant in that position. So that's the beauty of it. It's adjustable so that we can help the patient participate in where they want their visual outcome to be.
Okay.
So not only is it highly customizable, but it also involves the patient in the process.
Now, is there any degradation over the years? Like you said, it's been 10 to 12 years in other places. Have
Correct.
we seen, like, over the years, somehow they lose their fine-tuned ability?
Great question. So in the earlier versions of this lens, a long time ago when it first came out, they found that after some time, the prescription of the lens changed a little bit. So they modified the design of the lens and they added a coating to the lens that allows better protection of the
Okay.
lens implant. And they also modified how the UV light treatments are done so that no additional changes happen to the lens implant. So now we have lots of long-term data studies, and I've been using this lens for a couple of years now.
Okay.
And I haven't seen anybody's prescription change after it's been done. So it's kind of a one-time deal.
Okay. Now, is this like a regular cataract surgery where, like, the regular when you put the lens in and that's for a lifetime?
Correct.
Are these lenses also a lifetime?
They are.
Okay. So there's no
Yeah.
no real difference. Is there any difference in the surgery, the approach, or anything like that with these lenses?
It's all exactly the same.
Okay.
The lens is made out of a unique material that contains these molecules or macromers that are UV reactive. And that means they respond to UV light. So the only difference in kind of the aftercare with this lens implant is that from the time that I implant the lens in the patient's eye until they complete their UV light treatment, so you're just talking about a few weeks, whenever they're outside in the sunlight, I need them to wear a special pair of sunglasses to make sure that they protect their eyes from UV exposure.
Okay.
Because I don't want the sun UV light to be changing the power of the lens implant. We want to do that in a controlled fashion with the UV light in the office.
Okay.
So that's really the only thing.
All right, so now I want to ask, when you lock it, like you say, you lock it in there, is there something you do when you lock the final lens prescription length or whatever it might be to prevent it from being changed ever again by UV light? Because you're going to walk around the rest of your life with UV light.
Yeah, so the last UV light treatment basically dissipates or removes all the molecules that are left in the lens that are UV reactive.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like cures the lens. It just gets
Okay.
rid of any ability of the lens to be modified by UV light.
So it just exhausts the last of the adjustables that are in there?
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's why after their last UV light treatment, they don't have to wear any special sunglasses. They can be out in sunlight and not have to worry about changing the power of their lens implant. So as you can probably tell, this is completely new. It's very different from how
Yes.
we've traditionally done cataract surgery. And for those patients who have had radial keratotomy in the past, or they've had LASIK, or they have unusual eye geometry or anatomy, this lens is such a great option for them because in the past, we did not have good options for those patients because of the unpredictability of the calculations when it comes to their cataract surgery.
Okay. Now, who's a candidate for this and maybe who's not? If I need trifocals or bifocals, can I
Yeah.
have this lens or should I not be a candidate? Or
Yeah, so this lens, technically, the way it is made and labeled, it's a monofocal lens, meaning it has a single focal point.
Okay.
But they just came out with a newer version of this lens just back in April, a couple of months ago. That's called the Light Adjustable Lens Plus. And this version gives patients more near vision. So it has an added component of close-up vision.
Wow.
So I've implanted this lens in lots of patients now, and they get to enjoy great far, intermediate, and close-up vision. and they don't have to deal with other problems that can happen with trifocal lenses like halos at night. They have really nice crisp vision, both far and close up, and they don't need to wear glasses. So even though, as I mentioned, patients with unpredictable anatomy and previous eye surgeries are good candidates for this lens, but patients who have regular healthy eyes that need progressives or bifocals are also still candidates for this lens.
Oh, it's incredible. Where do you see the future of this going? Are they even working on even more advanced, even beyond this?
Yeah. So one of the things that I expect that will happen with this technology is first, maybe less UV light treatments. I do feel like that is one thing that is sometimes bothersome to patients, that they have to come in for these UV light treatments. So I do tell patients, you know, with the fixed power lenses, we put them in, you come in for a couple of post-op visits and you're done. But with this lens, you need to come back for these 3 UV light treatments. I anticipate that they are going to reduce the number of UV light treatments that are required by kind of improving the technology of how the UV light treatments are performed and delivered. The other thing that might happen as well is, you know, right now patients have to wear those sunglasses to protect their eyes from sunlight. Well, recently they have added an additional coating on the lens to protect it from UV light in case there is accidental UV light exposure.
Oh, wow.
But I wonder if they'll do something additional so that patients don't have to wear those sunglasses at all and still be able to protect their lens implant.
Well, the big question I'm sure you get when you offer this is, okay, what's covered, what's the cost, how does it work?
Yeah, so because this is considered a premium technology that not only improves the vision and corrects the prescription, but it also reduces the need for glasses and it corrects astigmatism, insurance doesn't cover it. So we'll typically allow insurance to cover the bulk of the basics of cataract surgery, and then the patient, if they elect to do this lens, they pay the difference to upgrade to that.
Okay, well, amazing technology. What a modern world we live in.
It really is.
Thanks for telling us about this. It sounds fantastic, and probably, you know, for some of our viewers, maybe something they might be candidate for. So terrific. Dr. Duna Roof with NVISION Eye Centers, thanks again.
Thank you.
You're watching This Day. We'll be right back.